There is damage all down these glass panels right here. As you can see, just very large, high impact. Firefighters and volunteers say they'll continue to keep making trips to people out to their homes, rescuing them, making sure they get back on dry land as the floods continue to be battled here in Baton Rouge. Outside the Ohio State House, but you can still see the aftermath behind me of the protests from Thursday night against the killing of George Floyd. Dukes has a very specific message for extremists on both sides of the Confederate Monument debate, and that message is, no matter which side you fall on, if you bring race or violence or hatred into this, you need to stay away from the rally. We're tackling Ohio's reopening with you one day at a time. Today, construction, distribution, manufacturing, and general offices can kick back on. Does Google owe you money? Well, Google might wind up having to pay billions of dollars because of privacy infringement. Pay attention to the safety distance right here. 1 truck, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the distance, Heather and Jared. 5 truck widths right there. The truck drivers recommend that you keep between yourself and them. In the very first paragraph, actually in the very second sentence, this is what Chancellor Ghaly has to say. They are definitely not on any form of life support, nor are they in any imminent danger of closing their doors.
Fairness.
Nick Lawton, KTV, is there a statement you can give us?
Not just words, but ideals we strive for every day in our newsroom. Your first choice for accurate, trustworthy, fair, and committed local news. KTVE.
This is a bad time to bring up that I'm afraid of heights. Nearby Romare Bearden Park, every inch of that grass is now prime real estate, as hundreds of people are now staking their claim for a spot to watch the fireworks show. President-elect Donald Trump flying into Baton Rouge was still just a rumor as recently as Wednesday, but now it's reality. It's not easy to catch them all, but police and trainers alike say you have to choose precaution over play. I'm here near the corner of High and Broad Streets, where, as you can see, COTA crews are here trying to repair the damage left behind to the bus stop nearest to that intersection right here outside the Ohio State House right now. I'm going to continue to show you a little more damage right here. There is damage all down these glass panels right here. As you can see, just very large, high impact damage that's spider webbing across panel to panel. The COTA crews tell me that they have to replace every single glass panel that's damaged, and so far there only appears to be a handful that are still intact so far, and they told me they'll probably have to come back out later and replace those as well. Now, as I told you earlier, this is right outside the State House, where there are 27 windows damaged from Thursday night's protests against the killing of George Floyd. At least that's what State Highway Patrol troopers tell me the number of windows. So far we're going to continue to stay on the ground right here and continue to cover everything that we see in the aftermath of those protests. So keep it right here on your Ohio 24/7 Now app.
We've come down early morning to the Mahakali River, keeping a low profile.
Columbus native Anitra Hamper's job sounded like the dream. As a travel journalist, she was sent to India to try to wrangle the infamous goonch catfish, but she would never get the chance to because the coronavirus quickly became her new nightmare.
It's ironic that the whole premise of me even coming here was fishing. And while I've lost those assignments, I'm now hiding out at a fishing camp.
These video logs she gave to us help paint the process. She and her guide crossed into India on March 11th. Less than a week later, coronavirus had the country in its grip.
And the government's messages on the television, because I watched the subtitles, was that India cannot get the virus because it's too hot here. And the reason that the virus is coming here is because of the foreigners.
In another week, India was under nationwide lockdown, and Hamper and her guide found themselves plastered on the paper.
Hello. Hi. People were pointing at us and saying Corona. People ran out of restaurants. We were suddenly finding ourselves turned away at hotels. For about 5 days straight, we were kind of on the run, really. I mean, we felt like fugitives.
Eventually, Hamper says her local contact threw bags of rice and wheat into the back of their car and told them to go and not stop.
Just when we feel like we can exhale, something else happens and we're leaping into action or running off somewhere.
Hamper and her guide retreated to a fishing camp where they would spend the next 3 weeks bathing by bucket, trying to get a flight home.
We have already missed a flight each to get out. We do have another one that we are trying to both make to our respective countries. The problem is the Indian government wants us out, but yet we can't get out.
Finally, in April, a window opened, but they weren't home free yet. A 14-hour car trip through checkpoint after checkpoint left Hamper with more than just nerves.
They stamped our hands showing that we've had this medical approval and said that it would help us along the way, which it didn't at all.
She doesn't know what was in the stamp, but now it's burned into her hand. But finally, Hamper flew free. Back home to fight an entirely different coronavirus battle.
All that fight or flight stuff has sort of gone away.
She says this battle, back on the home front, is one she'll gladly fight.
From where I came from, food is running out. Money is gone. I too will be one of the bored Americans in my home, but I have food in my house, and I'm comfortable and I'm warm.
Nick Lawton, Ohio 24/7 Now. Baton Rouge firefighters and volunteers have been making boat rescues here in the high waters in the neighborhoods of Baton Rouge all day today as the waters and rains continue to rise.
Thank you for bringing us out, Lord. Thank you.
A prayer of thanks from one of hundreds of people needing rescuing from the high waters. Firefighters waiting home by home in the flooded Highland Road neighborhood with the help of native Todd Terrell, who volunteered to truck them through.
They were actually trying to rescue some people and they couldn't get them out and they didn't have a boat. So I told them, hey, I got a P-roll, you want to use it? And they were like, sure.
We had 3 people trapped at 2236 Kentucky.
This combo of firefighters and volunteers added their efforts to the more than 1,000 people rescued across the state. In Zachary, authorities and volunteers helped evacuate the elderly from a flooded town and country mobile village.
The uncertainty of where to go, because all the roads around us are closed, really. So we've been trying to figure out how to exactly evacuate.
Those pulled from the water say they're just thankful for their lives.
We're so grateful for you guys. The Lord also sends angels to be on assignment, so we're so grateful that we were able to get out.
And Terrell says he'll keep trucking through these floods.
This is a tragedy, and Baton Rouge has gone through a lot of tragedies here lately. And this is one where everybody just needs to put their differences aside and come together and help.
Firefighters and volunteers say they'll continue to keep making trips to people out to their homes, rescuing them, making sure they get back on dry land as the floods continue to be battled here in Baton Rouge. I'm Nick Lund, reporting for the Raycom News Network. We start every day with the latest on the coronavirus here in Ohio. But again, we want to stress that these aren't just numbers, these are people. As of Tuesday morning, there's now more than 32,000 total cases across the state and almost 2,000 deaths. Now, in a statement, the Columbus City Council President Pro Tem Elizabeth Brown wrote, "The presence of police should never look and feel to residents like we are at war." The council is now going to hold hearings about what equipment the police department can buy. In the middle of the coronavirus, Governor Mike DeWine says he's not going to be using the state's rainy day fund to fill in the hole it left behind, which means there's going to be $775 million in cuts to the state's budget. More than half of those cuts are going to come from education, which means cuts to K through 12 schools, cuts to Medicaid, and cuts to all state agencies. The president of the Ohio Education Association says these cuts are only going to make schools more unequal. There would also have to be 6 feet between desks. This isn't exactly 6 feet, but you get it. Starting June 1st, businesses can now apply to expand their patios out into parking lots and even sidewalks and maybe even some streets. First of all, can I just say how nice it is to be out here without a coat on? We're walking you through Ohio's reopening one day at a time. Today, BMVs, bowling alleys, batting cages, and mini golf courses can all reopen. Gyms and pools have also been given the green light. But that doesn't mean all of them are choosing to reopen. National gym chains like Planet Fitness and LA Fitness say they're waiting until June. Columbus Mayor Andrew Ginther wants to create a civilian review board to help look over the department, and Chief Thomas Quinlan has already asked for a Chiefs Advisory Board made up of community members,